Привет, konnichiwa, annyeonghaseyo, ni hao, oui, and a million other languages that I don't know. Hope you all are doing well. Happy New Year. I know it's like 2 years late, or sorry, 2 weeks late, but it's fine. I'm going to start off by saying, just to clarify before we get too far into this, I've got COVID, so unfortunately I didn't get that. I managed to survive almost 3 years without getting it while I was working in two different restaurant jobs, tutoring English, um, working in an office, and now working in a market and all this stuff. Somehow I managed to survive all that until now. So it's great. So I'm going to blame every single mistake I make on my COVID brain. It has been, what are we? We're Sunday today. I was sick pretty much all of last week, and I was like just kind of like on and off sick, like feeling a bit nauseated some days, having really bad headaches, all this kind of stuff, just on and off for about a week. And I was at work pretty much the whole time because I just couldn't really take the time off. We were busy. We were kind of short staffed, a little bit short staffed in a sense. And every time a couple days I wanted to take a break and wanted to stay home, I actually couldn't. And then Friday came and it was my day off, and I just like died. I was so sick. And then Saturday I finally started feeling a little bit better, and then Saturday night I took a COVID test just in case, and here we are. So yes, long story short, I've got COVID. Everything I say wrong, we're gonna blame it on that. Anyways, welcome. I'm not gonna even try to pretend I'm gonna get this under a certain amount of time, because if you've watched any other ones, you know that doesn't happen. But I've also realized I love it when I watch people and they kind of, I mean, ramble on. I'll know. That's just, I find it really interesting to see what other people's lives are going like and all this kind of stuff. I don't really mind if they're a bit longer, so I figured, you know what, some people might not mind. And I'm sorry to those of you. So, anyways, I'm gonna hydrate because this is how I'm gonna get rid of being sick. Drink your water, peeps. Okay, so yeah, I guess we're gonna just jump into it because it's gonna take me a million years to go through this. Anyways, as you can see, we have my. Can I? Oh yes. Okay. Sorry, I'm fiddling around with something different. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the end of last year. How did going through all these goals work out? So last quarter, I wanted to reach A1 to A2 of Portuguese, late A1 to A2. Maybe? I don't know. I'm somewhere in the A. I think I'm hit somewhere in the A1. I don't know that I hit the end of it. I don't know if I quite hit A2. I don't know if I quite hit late A1. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure on where I need to be in order to be that. Can I have basic conversations? Yes and no. I don't feel that by the end of this point I had a strong enough vocabulary and was comfortable enough with verb conjugations in order to be able to have basic conversations. I'm still struggling with like switching to past, present, future tense. So I wouldn't quite say, like, if we're only talking about present tense, maybe, but even then, I don't feel that I had enough vocabulary in order to do this at this point. Let's go through. So we have, okay, you can see my mouse. Yay. We have do about 12 I talkative practically lessons per month. And remember, this is my revisited, so this was sometime in November. December, I definitely did 12 lessons. I did over 12 lessons. And I'm pretty sure November, I did close to that. December, I was hitting roughly about 4 to 5 lessons a week, more or less. There was some I missed, but overall, I know I had more than 12. Excuse me. This is why I'm drinking water, because I am dying. But I am also kind of bored. I will say I've already studied Portuguese for 4.5 hours a day. My brain needs a break from studying. But yes, I'm going to need to hydrate. Oh, and this is actually water. I'm just reusing my Gatorade. I've been surviving off of Gatorade. I think I've had like 4 of them just because I've been so dehydrated. Yeah, anyways, like I said, I ramble too much. Let's keep going. So we did about, we got 12 of those. So do half of the Dude of Maine textbook. I didn't look at this. So I think I've looked at it once and I was like, this looks like a really great textbook. And because it was an online textbook, I just never ended up using it. So I didn't do that. Do half of 3 months, Portuguese in 3 months. I didn't use this, and I think I was kind of debating last time. I don't actually remember. Again, everything feels like forever ago, honestly. It's been really busy. From 2 weeks before, the last couple of weeks before Christmas until now, it's just been really busy with work. So I don't remember anything really before then at this point. But I decided not to keep going on. At least at this point, I've not been looking at Portuguese in 3 months anymore. I've just found that there was a lot of, not that it was bad, and I think, we had kind of talked about this before. Not that it was bad or anything, but specifically, I liked the German one, and I found it really nice. I find it an overall good reference guide, but as the main textbook that I was using, I didn't really like this Portuguese one so much, especially because there's such a big difference between Brazilian Portuguese and Portugal Portuguese. And I just found that sometimes it was hard to know, okay, especially where I'm specifically focusing on learning Portuguese in order to go to Brazil this year. I didn't want to let myself get confused between what is Brazilian Portuguese and what is Portugal Portuguese. As far as I'm concerned, I would love to go visit Barcelona and some different places never mind, Barcelona's in Spain. Like I said, COVID brain, we're blaming it on that. I would like to go visit Portugal to say I've been there, but I don't have any plans in the foreseeable future to go do that. So for me, there's not really any point in learning Portugal Portuguese. So I decided I didn't want to use this anymore. Read short stories in Brazilian Portuguese. Excuse me. I did some of it. I definitely didn't finish it though. So our goals are splotchy at best. All right, German. Where did I get to? Have basic conversations comfortably. I had done a bunch of, I think it was before this. I think it was right before the last video I made. I had done up a bunch of Lingoda lessons, and I was finding my German was definitely starting to get more comfortable because I was doing lessons every day. I didn't really do that much German though in the last little bit. I did some, but not tons. Reviewed previous lesson material. No, I'm notoriously bad for not reviewing my lesson material unless I have an italki tutor who I know is going to make me go through it. My German italki teacher is really great. I love him. He's amazing. He's really great where I feel like I do need to review, and because he gives me homework, I actually have to review the lesson stuff. So that's really great. And my Brazilian teacher, same kind of thing. She's really great. I love her as well. She's also been giving me some homework, but I find, especially because I'm so motivated to learn Brazilian Portuguese, it's a little easier. But I've not really been reviewing much German at all. Get halfway through German in 3 months. I definitely didn't get halfway. I did some. It's all the way back there. Somewhere in my bookshelf. Yes, I also, wait. this way. I also did rearrange everything in my room, so my whole setup's a bit different. And yes, there's random gaps that I don't really like how it presents on camera, but I digress. It's not important. But yes, it looks weird and different, and I understand it is like very cluttered here and like bare here. So I'm sorry. I know it's annoying. I hate it. Anyway. Yeah, so I did some of it, but not quite, and watched through a series in German. Actually, let's go to my Notion for a second. I don't know what page this is. I think this is gonna go. Yeah, there's my home page. Come on. It's gonna be really slow now because I'm live streaming. We're gonna go to my movie, TV shows, and movies. So, what did I watch through? 18. No, so I didn't end up watching through. I started going through Dark. I started it last month in December, but I haven't finished it yet. I'm gonna go back in here now. Okay, sweet. So yeah, I started going through Dark, but didn't finish it yet. French. Pretend this doesn't exist. I'm pretty sure I spent. I didn't read any articles. I didn't review any basic verb tenses, maybe once in all of quarter 4. I didn't watch any news or documentaries. I watched Emily in Paris. I think I watched it in French, and that's probably the most French review I've done. That and my grandparents came down for Christmas, or my grandma came down for Christmas. So the 2 days I was at my parents' house over Christmas, I spoke a bunch of French, and that was about the most of my French that I got. So yeah. And Korean, we're not gonna even look at this. I did not touch Korean at all. So when I think about where I was in 2020, how much Korean I learned throughout 2020, how much I lost in 2021 and 2022 hurts so much. At one point, I would say it was probably getting close to somewhere in the A2, a decent amount in the A2. I was definitely not intermediate, but I was somewhere in the A2 range. I'm probably like A0. I know very little. I can understand some things. I can say some things, but I've lost the majority of my knowledge. So it has died. So that's where we're at. It was a very interesting little bit. So basically, year in review. This is kind of my language stats. So basically, with the languages that we did over 2.5 hours with, that's the ones that I have here. I'm going to move this over so you can actually see. Oh, that did not work. Never mind. What am I doing? I don't know. I'm trying to move this a bit. Okay. No, sorry. Like I said, COVID brain. Okay. You can't. Here, I'll hide myself for a second. No. That's not. Okay, I just realized I don't know if you can hear me when I do that. Whatever, it's fine. You're gonna just have to believe me when I tell you at Croatian I did almost 3 hours because I apparently can't show you without muting myself. So, anyways, yes. So last year did a total of 991 hours. So when I talk about hours, I'm not talking about movies. I'm not talking about conversations I've had with friends, unless it was strictly we're practicing speaking this language. But if it's just, oh, my Brazilian friend or random person at the restaurant who speaks German or whatever, we're not talking about that. I'm not talking about any music I've listened to. So generally in this case, what I'm talking about is lessons I've learned, active studying, using apps, using textbooks, studying music. but even then, I don't think I did so much in this year. Reading, listening to podcasts, because I do tend to actually, I'm using that as listening practice because my listening is always generally weakest in most languages. So as you can see, for the whole year, it's a little sad. I mean, in one sense, it's almost 200 hours. So, and considering I had huge chunks of times, which you'll see, which I didn't really study at all or much, it's pretty decent. I tried 10 different languages. The main ones that I had were German at 84, 85 hours, Brazilian Portuguese at 59 hours, French at, and those are my main two. You can definitely tell they're my main two because then you get to French is 14 hours, Korean is about 12 hours, Russian is 9.5 hours, Mandarin is 4 hours, Croatian is 2.5 or 3-ish hours. And then the rest are under 2.5 hours. So, and I can tell you right now, Korean, Russian, Mandarin, Croatian, those are all within the first half of the year, and like most of those were also within the first quarter of 2022. So, yeah, and I did 51 italki lessons. If you look at my italki thing, it shows more, but I took out the ones that I didn't attend because if I've overslept and like missed a class, which I did a bunch of them, I just always gave my teacher the credit, like I just said, that everything went fine, just because, I mean, they were there on time. I wasn't, I overslept, so that was my bad, so I let them have it, but yeah. So, that is that. And then, yeah, so basically, as you can see, I did a little bit of language learning. It's a little spotty. I had March that was like very into it and very proactive language learning. May I tried again, and the rest of this was like, I mean, 4 hours for a month. I don't know how we can see this, but 4.5 hours, 4 hours, 28.5 hours, 7 hours, 18.5 hours, 9 hours, 7 hours, 3 hours. And then near the end, we actually got pretty good. I got motivated again with back to school season. 33.5 hours, 36.75 of an hour, 26.5 hours. And then December, especially the last 2 weeks, I just didn't really do much language learning. I pretty much gave up on learning anything the last 2 weeks of December. It was just too chaotic. And that hit at 13 hours. So, yeah, as you can see, second half is definitely a lot better. And then these are the full list of the languages. So, as we said, German, Brazilian Portuguese, French, a little bit of Korean, a little bit of Russian, a little bit of Mandarin, a little bit of Croatian, and then we had Spanish. This was definitely at the beginning of the year when I'm still taking my Spanish lessons. We have, excuse me, thank you, a little bit of Spanish, a very little bit of Vietnamese, and like the half hour of Italian that I studied for like one day when I said, hey, I'm gonna be weird and cruel to myself and try to study 8 languages at the same time, and realizing that was just not gonna work. So yeah, and then I have this random without a project. I'm pretty sure that was me reading, and that's what it was. So yeah, great times. Yeah, that's my breakdown. And because everyone always asks, this app is Toggle Tracker. You can use it on your phone or on your laptop. I took these pictures from the laptop view. I've used both. If you follow me on Twitter, if you see my Twitter posts, you will have seen me use this app quite a bit. I definitely love it. I love statistics. I love graphs. I love that. You'll be able to see in the next one, but you can actually put different names and titles for each thing for every textbook or every resource that you're using. So you could actually, I think if you pushed around here, you could actually see the 14 different types of things that you use for creation, what resource I used or how I categorized it there. And you'll be able to see that later on. But I love this app. It is my favorite time tracking. I've tried a bunch of different ones. I liked Forest, or I think it's Forest, the one with all the little trees where it grows for so long. But the thing I like about this is that you can either push start and start tracking it while you're excuse me, you can track it while you're studying. So if I was going to start right now, if I wanted to figure out how long it's going to take me, how long I'm studying or live streaming here, I could just track it at the beginning and go. But the other thing that I also love is if I forget to start it, which I do, especially with my like Italki lessons, I can go back and just put in the time and put it at the right time that it happened. So that's something that I really love. That's something that bothers me if I can't do that, and being able to do both of it, plus have all these amazing graphs and everything, and I can go back and see like last year, I can see this year, I can see by month, I can do a random if I want to see the last, I don't know, 49 days what I've studied, I can do that. So I really enjoy this app. So yeah, that's Toggle Track. Definitely look it up if you're looking for something and if you like graphs and all this kind of organizational stuff there. I'm not sponsored by them. I just love them to pieces. So yeah. And here, so that was the first 21 minutes. Great job, me. Always long-winded. And now we're getting to our language goals for this year. If you follow me on Twitter, you have seen this little chart up here. Yeah, this is my language card. I made one last year. I love doing this. I just like the color and how pretty and having all the flags and everything. So it makes me happy. So this is what we did. So yeah. So currently you can read all the rest of it there. Basically, we're looking at, I'm having four focus languages and 6 dabble languages. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So basically what I've decided, and if you follow me on Twitter, you've already seen this. But basically I'm going to have one language, which is Brazilian Portuguese, that I'm focusing on the entire year. That is my one mandatory language I have to do. I cannot change it. I'm stuck with it for this year, whether I like it or not. Part of that is to just help me work on tenacity and just being able to actually stick with something. So even when I get bored of it, I have to do it. Like, this is my language. I can't change it. This is my number one focus language. Unless there was a huge like life change, like, oh, I'm gonna move to like Germany, then yeah, I would probably switch it at that point. But that's not happening this year, to my knowledge. So we're not doing that. So unless some crazy unforeseen situation happens, Portuguese is going to be the language I'm focusing on for the entire year. And then I have, generally it would be 4, but in this case, 3 quarterly focus languages. So I have Brazilian Portuguese, that's my yearly one. And then I'm not doing it for quarter 1, but for quarter 2, 3, and 4, I'm going to have a quarter-long secondary focus language. So that means this is the next priority language that I'm going to have. Quarter 2, so quarter 1, this quarter I'm not having any. Quarter 2, my priority language is going to be French, as you can see right here. And then quarter 3, my priority language is going to be German. And then quarter 4, I'm still trying to figure out. I might do Turkish. I might do Russian again. One thing I am noticing is that, like, with these 2, they're both languages that I have spent some time studying in. So because of that, I might do Russian as my quarter 4 secondary language focus, because I have spent some time studying Russian. And out of the languages that I've spent more than like a couple of hours studying on, I think Russian is the one that I would be the most interested in. I would like to revisit this at some point. Sorry. But I'm also kind of want to spend some time in Turkish. I don't know. We got a lot of Turkish people in my city that I've been seeing. There's a lot of Persian people. So I'm either going to pick another language that I've already spent some time in, so that way it's not going to be too, I don't have to start straight from the basics, but it might also be a language where there is a huge population of that in my city, in my area. So I'm giving myself some leeway. I've decided not to choose too much for the very end. Give myself a little bit of wiggle room, because who knows what can happen in the next 6-9 months. And where I'm at in my life now may be completely different, and I may have a different focus language for a different reason. Maybe at that point I'm going to decide I really want to focus on Spanish. Who the heck knows? I don't see that happening in the next little bit, but who the heck knows? Maybe that's going to happen. So I'm leaving that open. And then finally, the third category of languages I have is going to be bi-monthly, as in the every 2 months, not once every month or not twice every month. Again, COVID break, we're going to blame everything on that. Every 2 months, we're going to have a dabble language. So the rule with the dabble language is this. I cannot, unless I do next to nothing and I'm just trying to carry over a streak or something in a day, but in general, I have to spend more time, or at least as much time, in my priority language as I will allow myself in my dabble language. So I cannot spend, as in this case, we have Norwegian. Oh, there you go, Norwegian. So I cannot spend 3 hours in Norwegian and 1 hour in Portuguese. That's kind of goes against the point of a dabble language. So if I spend 3 hours in Norwegian, I have to spend at least as much time in Portuguese, which also helps me focus on making sure I do my Portuguese first, focusing on that, and then I can do some Norwegian. It does help that I did specifically try to limit the amount of resources I have for Norwegian and kind of give myself a lot more resources in Portuguese. That definitely makes it a little bit easier there. But yeah, so we have double languages. So as of right now, we've got, I guess we're going to go do it, but the double languages that I have right now for this year are Norwegian, Afrikaans, Indonesian, Icelandic, Croatian, and I'm a little bit torn again for the last kind of one, whether or not it will be put at the end, but this last one, it might be Mandarin, which everybody on my Twitter seemed to be really happy and excited about, which I'm not excited about. There's Hungarian, which not as many people were excited about, but I was more excited about. So we're going to see what happens. It could be something completely different at this point in time. So I know you can't see it because it's under my camera, but trust me, what I have is this setup, but we got the China flag, the flag of China, and the flag of Hungary. So there you go. So, all right. Finally, we have our goals for this quarter. So we're already a couple weeks into this, so I can kind of tell you where we're at. So our main objective is to reach late A2 to early B1. I think the way things have been going so far this year, this can happen. I'm definitely starting to get a lot more comfortable. I'm definitely studying a lot more. I am looking to go to Brazil during Q2. So the fear of not being able to speak Portuguese well enough to interact with my friends' family who don't speak English, the fear is quite high, especially for me. I grew up in a situation where my family, short story, my family is French Canadian. That we moved out of Quebec when I was younger, like right after I was born, and my dad was bilingual, but my mom only spoke French. So growing up around the house, they only spoke English, and they decided to keep French as the language that they would use when they didn't want us kids to understand what they were talking about. So when they'd be like, oh, est-ce que tu veux chercher crème de glacé? Like, do you want to get ice cream? They would say that in French, so we didn't understand. Except eventually we started realizing crème de glacé is ice cream. And that's when you hear that, we're like, yes, we want ice cream. But for the most part, they would say stuff in French they didn't want us to hear. So that kind of was very frustrating growing up, because then whenever we went and visited relatives back in Quebec, I would spend the entire time in Quebec being, Mom, Dad, what are they saying? What did they say? Why is everybody laughing? I don't understand. And I hated it. Even though I did French in high school, I couldn't, or in junior high, I guess, I didn't really understand it. It wasn't until like I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I could actually have a conversation with people in French. So I spent the entire first 18 years of my life going to Quebec, not understanding a single word of what was being said. And I do not want to have to do this with my friend's family. That's just, I don't know. I just don't want to go through that again. there's a difference. And like, I understand I'm not going to be fluent. I'm not going to understand everything. There's going to be a lot I'm going to need help in translations with. But if I can have basic conversations in Portuguese, at least I will feel like I did my best and I tried really hard. So, and everybody will appreciate it. So, and my friend who's learning English will be able to have a bit of a brain break. So, it'll be good. Anyways, all that to say, I do think it's doable. I do think I can get there. The fear of God is in me that I do not want to be stuck having to have someone translate for me every single sentence every time I want to have a conversation. So I do think this is possible, and I think I'm at this point motivated enough because I know what will happen if I don't. So far, we are definitely on board for getting all the lessons for this, at least for this month. And I have switched to do different textbooks. I'm so excited here. I know they're all backwards, but are they backwards? Oh, I think they're forwards. Yes, because it's weird. Never mind. Okay, so we got Assembly. Okay. I forgot there's lights. Oh my goodness. I changed it. Okay, I got the Brazilian Portuguese Assembly textbook. I love it. Everyone kept talking about it. I didn't really know what the hype was. I finally got one. I understand what the hype is. I love it. The lessons are, I find, really short. But they're usually focused around a little conversation. They give you some different notes on pronunciation or grammar, different little things. They always have a random, interesting, like, I don't know how you say this word properly. I don't know how to express what I'm trying to think. They'll talk about something about the country, about the culture. They have a little paragraph or whatever at the end. And they do little exercises, and then they have review sessions. I don't know. It's small, like it's short. It usually takes me about 7 minutes to do a lesson, 6 to 8 minutes, somewhere in that realm to do lessons. But I really like it, and I really have been enjoying it. So that's been one of the textbooks I've been doing. I wanted to have half of it done by the time I go. I'm pretty sure there's about 100 lessons, I think. Just checking here. Yeah, there's like 100 lessons in this book. And I basically am just doing one a day. So I should have about almost the whole thing done by the end of the first quarter. So, which would be very nice. So yeah. So hopefully I should actually pretty much be able to get the whole Assembly. And I'm on track for that. So most likely I'll get pretty much the entire book done by the end of this first quarter. And the other one I'm doing is Complete Portuguese. Sorry, I really suck at this stuff. There you go. Okay, there you go, something like that. Complete Brazilian Portuguese. This is another one I had seen. I got it. Did I buy it or got it for Christmas? No, I got this one for Christmas. I got the Assembly one for Christmas. I got this one. I really like it. It's another one. They have the audio book, so there's lots of conversation practice. There's lots of random grammar things. There's just a lot of good all-around review in the listening, the reading, the writing, all this kind of stuff. I don't actually write in my books, but I mentally spell things out or whatever kind of the situation. I really like it. There is, where are we at here? How many is 18 units? Yeah, there's 18 units. I'm trying to do about 1.5 units a week. At that rate, I should have this about done. I should have, I think the way I calculated it out is I should be able to get half of it done by the end of this quarter. If not more. Let's see. We're looking at 13 weeks. I might actually be able to get this done also by the end of this. I'm trying to do about 1.5 units. I do about a half unit at a time. I'm trying to do it about 3 times a week. So far, I've been pretty much on track for that. And it doesn't, again, it takes me about a half hour to do half a unit, 20 to 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes. So it's definitely very doable. I have actually thought through a little bit better and tried to plan out how long things would take me. Those I should be able to actually get done this quarter instead of just half done, which I'm very excited about. And then we have work through Portuguese Pod 101. I don't know if I'm going to. I might start going through the. Sorry. I might start going through the. Oh my goodness, my brain. I'm sorry, guys. The podcast again, but I don't think. I definitely find I'm a visual. I have to look at stuff and stuff. I like textbooks. I learn best. I just realized I myself really work well with textbooks. That's what really gets my brain going. And I tend to focus better with a textbook. So I definitely switching to preferring using the textbooks over Portuguese Pod 101. I might look at doing this in quarter 2. And once I come back from Brazil, as kind of like reviewing and maintaining and all this stuff. But at this point, I don't see that being a thing. And then work through reading short stories in Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. I'm definitely on track to be able to finish the book by the end of the quarter. So that would be really nice. So I think these are very realistic. Others than the Portuguese Pod one, all this is very realistic. Norwegian is my dabble language, and this is my dabble language for January to February. So my dabble languages, my main goal is to just have fun, explore a bunch of different languages, see which ones I'd be interested in learning more fully, or kind of commit from a day dabble to an actual language. I do want to commit time to studying. So yeah, so that's kind of what this is about. It's exploring and seeing which languages I might be interested in learning more fully in the future. But right now, I just want to be able to be comfortably understand like how to introduce myself, ask about how others are doing, and have typical basic conversations. I want to be familiar enough with the language that I can recognize the language if it's being spoken. Especially where I work in a restaurant, we get a lot of different people, especially in like summertime where it's all tourists. You get a lot of different people that are coming from all over the world, and just to be able to be like, oh. And I always like to ask. I always double check. But I'll be like, oh, excuse me. Just really curious. I really enjoy learning languages, and I heard you're speaking different language. Do you mind if I ask what language you're speaking? Most of the time when I frame it like that, people are very happy to be like, oh, we were speaking this, or I'm from this place, or whatever. And it's always fun. And when it's a language that have spent a bit of time studying, it always makes it a lot more interesting of a conversation. So being able to recognize the language enough to be like, oh, just really curious, were you speaking Norwegian? It's always like, they're always like, oh, wait, well, how did you know, kind of thing. So it's always a great conversation starter. It's like a neat connecting customer service moment with my guest too. And I have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, so that's kind of the main thing, just to enjoy the language, just to enjoy learning. So we have start short stories in Norwegian. I have started it, and I think I've just only done the first story. I'm almost done the first story, but I have started it, so I'm happy with that. I've definitely tried to make these goals. I wanted to be get through the whole book and all this stuff, but I'm giving myself 2 months, so I'm trying to just have fun with it and not stress myself out about it. I did have worked through 2 books, however, I realized. So I do have the complete Norwegian, which is the complete. Mirrored. There you go. The complete Norwegian textbook. Same thing as Brazilian one. Again, really like it. I'm definitely going to get this textbook for as many languages as I can. I think it's a great overall around book. It gets you from A1 to B2 level is kind of what they work through. Do I think at the end of the textbook I'm going to be B2? I don't quite know. Maybe not. I'm not, holding on to that. But it is, I do like kind of the style they go. There is the audio app that once you buy the book, you can have access to all the audios and stuff, which is really great for me as well, because I definitely need more listening practice. Oh, yes. And I shall also point out with the short stories in Brazilian Portuguese and Norwegian, I do have both the physical or either the physical or the ebook, but I also have the audiobook. So I've been listening to it and was reading along. I've been finding that's helping me to focus while I'm reading better, but also to get to be used to seeing these certain letters combinations make this type of sound and just help me to actually focus in. So that's been really great. But yeah, so I have the complete Norwegian book. That's where I'm at. But I have this Norwegian tutor. I did buy the book, but I've realized that it is kind of expecting you to be more at an A2 or something level, where I'm only dabbling. I've just decided, I'm instead of trying to do both this and the other and the complete Norwegian, I'm just going to focus on complete Norwegian. So I've really quickly realized doing the Norwegian tutor just isn't going to work. I should also state, when I made this goals, it was like right at the end of the year, so that's why there's some changes I'm already finding. So I'm working through it. So I have started working through it. I'm not going to finish the whole thing in that amount of time. That's fine. I'm trying to get roughly about a unit a week. So, I'll get about halfway through the book, and that's fine. And then the last thing is watch a show or a series in Norwegian, which I have. I have watched all of Ragnarok. I spent pretty much all day Saturday. Saturday? Was that yesterday? Yeah, that was yesterday. I spent I started watching a couple. I think I had there's 2 seasons, 6 episodes each, so there's 12 episodes. I think I'd watched the first 3, and then yesterday I watched the other 9. So I already watched the whole series. I do want to watch it again. I did have Norwegian, and I was using English subtitles. That's generally what I tend to do when I'm watching a movie in a different language, is have the actual audio and then have the English subtitles. But I am gonna try to do this, and the same with some of the shows I've been watching in Portuguese, is to do it with the Netflix language reactor, whatever it's called, so that I can have the dual subtitles, so I can listen to it in this case, listen to Ragnarok in Norwegian, but have both Norwegian and English subtitles. And then if I watch through it a third time, do it without the English subtitles. So just kind of get used to, once I've watched the movie once or twice, it's time for me to take out the English now that I have a general idea of the storyline, and then be able to watch it from there. So, and then we have Afrikaans. So this is where it gets tricky, because it's part Q1 and part Q2. So Afrikaans is going to be from March to April. And kind of, again, very similar in the sense of what I want to be able to do, just be able to introduce myself, ask about others, have basic conversation questions, get somewhere in the mid A1 conversational level there. I want to find some sort of an easy Afrikaans podcast so I can get some listening practice. Most of the resources, there's definitely not as many resources for Afrikaans, at least that I've been able to find. If anybody knows, please hit me up, let me know. But find some sort of podcast. If I can find a textbook that's a good textbook, I would like to look into that. I want to find some online or YouTube lessons and resources, and then I want to watch a show or a series in Afrikaans, if I can find one. That might end up being a YouTube series for all I know. So we'll have to find out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that. And then here's just kind of showing you so far this month what it's been looking like. As you can see, I've generally, for the most part, been getting at least a couple hours a day. This was my 2 minutes from the other day, from when I was I was super busy at work. I had to work a 10-hour shift, and I had some stuff before that, so it got a little chaotic here. I overslept, and then I had 10-hour shift, so my brain was dead. And then this was another day where I was really busy with work, not feeling good. And then Friday, technically this was the first day I got sick. This is when I did watch. Was it Friday? It was Friday. Friday was when I watched all the Ragnarok. Yeah, I think. I don't remember. My brain died. Okay, guys. But yeah. Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, Friday I watched a bunch of Ragnarok. That's when I watched all of it. Anyways, and then as you can see, here's so far this year, both, I spent about 25 3.5 hours doing Portuguese and about little 6.5 hours doing Norwegian. So I've actually been doing pretty well with my priorities in the sense of having that dabble language to give me something fun, something interesting to focus on, and to help me be motivated to learn languages, but not taking away from my main priority. So I've always been someone, I've been realizing I have undiagnosed ADHD. So it's just really expensive to get it diagnosed here in Canada, especially once you're no longer in school. When you're an adult, it's like at least a couple $1,000s, which I just don't have to throw into this. But chatting with different people, I've been realizing I most likely have ADHD, and my brain just needs to be able to have variety. I don't do well I can stick to something, but I get bored really quickly. I need to change. I'm realizing this is why I've constantly had multiple different jobs at the same time, etc., etc. Why I ramble on for freaking 45 minutes straight. Oh my word. But yeah. So this allows my brain to have the dopamine hit of, hey, we're learning something new, we're making so much progress, and it's so much fun, but also being allowed to stay committed to the language that I actually want to be able to get fluent in. This year is the year I want to make real progress and have at least one language that I become a B2 level in. I think it can be very doable if I really buckle down and stay dedicated to learning Portuguese for this year, which I think is possible, especially that I've made a lot of connections with different Brazilians around me in person that I can practice with, and my best friend and all this. There is real ability for me to be able to get to B2 level. And I think that's the biggest goal for this year is I want to be able to be more or less bilingual. My French, I don't feel like I've grown enough in my French. I still have I can have conversations about a lot of things, but I speak present tense and everything. So I obviously have things to work on in there. But being able to actually use Brazilian Portuguese proficiently and to be able to get to like a B2 level, that would be, if that's all I did this year in language learning, I would be very satisfied with that. So, and then, yeah, this is just kind of what I was talking about earlier, how you can actually see everything with Toggle Tracker when you title your thing. So I know exactly how many I've spent 7 hours and 40 minutes doing italki lessons, which has been about 25% of my language learning. And it kind of just all breaks it down here. So I spent a lot of time doing Duolingo. Spent about 4 hours. That's mostly from today, mind you. I should say, this week, because I'm sick, I decided I'm going to start doing the 40-hour, 7-day learning challenge, language challenge. Because I never have a week off, and I actually have a week off because have COVID and I'm sick, but I'm also I'm sick and tired of laying down in bed and watching TV. I've done that for the last 2 days and I can't take it anymore. So we're going to be productive with our time, which is why we're also doing this. But yeah, so I'm just trying to get in about 8 hours in today. So I'm about 4.5 hours in. I've got 3.5 more hours to go. So, which we're going to do after this. But yeah, so as you can see, just you can kind of see how much time you spent in everything and what you're doing. You can find out, okay, I spent 5 minutes conjugating verb practice. Not so great. I spent 21 minutes doing journal writing. I need to do more of that. But okay, I spent a lot of time Duolingo. Do I need to do that? No. But also, after studying for 4.5 hours today so far, my brain actually feels like doing the Duolingo got really easy because I've done so much of it today. But yeah, anyways, so this is where I'm at right now. This is it. I'm gonna end now because it's a 15-minute video. No, I just realized I did something I didn't want to do. Oh well, it's fine. Yeah, thanks for watching my ridiculously long video. If you left halfway, I don't blame you. If you didn't watch this because it's so long, I don't blame you. But yeah, anyways, you can skim through. I will eventually get myself to tone down and make it shorter. We'll get there eventually. We're just not there yet today. Anyways, thank you very much. Have a great one. If you have COVID, I hope you feel better. If you're sick, I hope you get well soon. If you're doing great, happy for you. Anyways, have a good one. Have a good week. Take care and see you. And bye.